Hi friend, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today we want to talk about lighting console setup for any event. No, that's not the title. But what the title is, what we're going into today, is how do you set up your console when there's cameras on the event? What do you do differently? What do you do special in order to light well for the camera? Ultimately, there's cameras at every event that you're on, whether it's just people's phones or whether it's actually professional cameras. And if the lighting is super inconsistent and the console's not really managed right, it's going to be very difficult for the video of the event to look good, even if it's just people's phone video. Okay, if you set up your console well to navigate the changes and whatnot in order to make really good lighting for video, then not only is your video crew going to be happy, your video is going to look really good, and video that spectators or audience members take is also going to look really good. And that, is going to directly reflect on you. So, how do you do it? Well, I've got some consoles in front of me here, excuse me. Basically a main playback section, 10 faders, right here on the Onyx NX Wing. Boom. Then we've got ourselves here a 5 fader sidecar with actually 5 more faders, which are a knob, but it's 0 to 100%, so it's effectively a fader. Okay, so let's pretend we're on a show and we've got cameras. Okay, the biggest thing, and I talk about this in other videos, is making sure your main light level on your presenters is the same all the time. So left to right on the stage and front to back on the stage as best as you can, though that can be more difficult. If people do solos or their spotlights, you want to take the time to balance those so that the spotlight and any front lighting that you're using from your rig are the same brightness. Okay, so when it comes to during the show and you're managing these things, you want to have, depending on the layout, you want to have a fader either here or over here for every light on stage that you want to control intensity of. More often than not, I'm going to have cues or a cue that turns on the whole rig, and then I'm going to use inhibitive faders to subtract things. Okay, so I'm going to be subtracting, from the drummer's front light, subtracting from the stage wash, overall, subtracting from, the whatever. Okay, and every section of the stage that I want to get independent control over, I'll have a subtractive fader on, okay? Including my backlight, including any side lighting I have, my set lighting, okay? Because one of the things, I like to put this on either an on-screen fader bank or a physical fader bank. Because one of the things we run into a lot of times, especially on events where we don't have a lot of time, is different colors are going to be different brightnesses with LEDs or even with non-LED sources. Because with an LED, for example, an orange or a yellow is red and green at full, but a red is just red at full. Okay, the green's going to be brighter, and on the to the eye, your eye's going to adjust. To the camera, it's not. So having those lights, those backdrop lights, on their own inhibitive fader that you can subtract and set that level so that it always looks great on camera is really key. You want to do this for each type or segment of lights that you have in your show. That way, if the presenter moves somewhere where it's really dark and you want to optimize for video, again, hold on, we'll talk about that in a second. You can subtract the lighting that's directly behind them, okay? And so you're going to be able to, with these faders, balance out any lighting behind them. If you can, of course, make your presets so that your color brightness is similar across all your colors. And you can do that as you go with palettes in a palette-based console like Onyx and others. But, that just depends on what you got. But having that ability to change your backlight, for example, you have a person with big hair, and then you have a person who's bald wearing a really dark shirt with a dark backdrop. Okay, the backlight amount is going to need to change for those presenters. I like to do that subtractively. Okay. Similarly, if somebody goes to an area of stage where you have to swing a mover or something, they go off stage, in front of stage, and light them. At that point, when you're in a situation, this is what I was going to talk about. When you're in a situation that you weren't anticipating, somebody walks to the front of stage, you're lighting them with some movers, with house lights, whatnot. That's where you and whoever you're working with decides, okay, are we optimizing for video right now, or are we optimizing for the live space? If you're optimizing for video, you're going to take those faders of the lights behind that person, right? The backdrop lights, whatever. You're going to bring them way down. A lot of times, my main front wash will turn off at that point if they're off the stage. And then that way, they're still lit well. The camera folks can dial in whatever brightness you got in that house light or those couple movers, probably not as much as you had for your main front light. And then you can look at the backlight behind them, dial that down on the fader, be ready to rock and roll. Now, the biggest thing is when lighting for the camera is anticipating those changes. And when you see a change in brightness, when you see something that's too bright and it's blowing out on the camera, or too dim and needs to be raised, that you're able to grab a fader really quickly and get that done. And when you can do that and you lay your console out so that you have access to faders for each type of light to control its intensity, then you're going to be really good to go. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other videos in this playlist. We'll be sure to link it below. Also, if you're looking to buy a console, some lights, anything else, and you're in the US, head over to learnstagelighting.gear.com, learnstagelightinggear.com, and fill out a quote request. We would love to quote you on whatever gear you're looking for, get you that personalized price. And last but not least, if you're new here, head over to learnstagelighting.com. We've got a free gift we want to get into your hands. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. Use these tips we've used today to make better lighting, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Thanks.